There are many different types of assessments that can be performed. In this section, you will take a look at some of these. Let's start out with a quick review of the different techniques that are used to assess your environments, and then move to the types of assessments that you may need to know about, such as white, gray, and black box testing. There are different techniques that can be leveraged when performing an assessment. These include review of information collected from interviews, and known system documentation and logs that may be looked at. Identification of vulnerabilities and weaknesses through various means, such as scanning tools, asset listings, and software inventories. And validation that vulnerabilities are actually exploitable. This could include the types of activities that are performed during penetration testing, which we will discuss later in detail. There are also different types of testing that should be considered. Black box testing, which attempts to emulate an adversarial attack where the attacker has limited knowledge of the environment. The tester will not be provided with any information in advance. In addition to checking for the usual security weaknesses, such as outdated software or unnecessary services, there is a good chance that the test will also verify that detective controls and reactionary processes are working as intended. Black box testing is a no-knowledge test. Gray box testing, on the other hand, is performed with limited knowledge of the environment. I personally prefer this type of testing because it does provide me with an edge in comparison to an attacker. In this test, the tester will have some knowledge of the environment. There is also white box testing, in which the tester would be provided with everything that is available. This could include firewall configurations, network diagrams, and sometimes even account information. Sometimes you may be asked to perform adversarial testing that involves attempts at hiding yourself and your activities. This is known as covert testing. Covert testing is very useful for determining the effectiveness of your blue teams, as they will be tasked with identifying and stopping or otherwise reacting to your activities. This will also test any monitoring controls that have been put into place against attacks that focus on exfiltration or network persistence. This is directly opposed to overt testing, where your testing plans have been clearly announced. Overt testing is very useful as it provides you with the access to information that you may not have had otherwise. You will be able to take advantage of tools that are noisy, which means that their activities are easily detected by the admins of targeted systems or networks. It also means that you will be able to shorten your test windows, as now you will be able to perform as many scans and tests as resources can actually handle. And odds are that you may already know certain details about the targeted architecture. This is not always the case, but it is much more likely to occur during an overt testing exercise than when performing something such as a covert operation. Sometimes a security assessment may only involve a simple tabletop exercise, where you would sit down with a group of individuals from the organization and with a very specific scope, discuss what an attack might look like, and then determine theoretically if the necessary controls and procedures are in place. Other times, you might run into situations where you will need to take a look at the documentation that the organization has on hand. This could include their policies and procedures, baselines and guidelines, and even their runbooks that detail how systems are configured or built. This activity can assist in determining if there are areas that have been overlooked or that have changed over time and may need to be readdressed. When attempting to understand the environment, documentation review can also be an input into other security assessment activities, such as vulnerability scanning, code review, or penetration testing. For instance, if you need to conduct a penetration test and you know that there may be weaknesses in the manner that administrative accounts are being handled, you could focus on obtaining the account of an administrator to prove that there is a real-world opportunity for attackers.